goes for the assassination. So much pressure put on Cloud9. They lose to G8.
Oh my God!
He stole it! Are you kidding me?
the Elder Dragon! Sneaky!
Oh my God.
What was that?
Oh, nice.
Holy shit. Is that a W?
Yeah.
Holy shit. All right, go to Dragon. Go to Dragon.
Let's rush Baron.
Oh,
Sneaky W.
shit.
Sneaky fucking W.
Good job. All right, nice.
More awesome moments from the NALCS, and you can expect to see that all throughout the playoffs. Welcome back, everybody. You can expect to see an awesome Game 3 as we're headed into it now between Envy and Cloud9, two playoff teams that are now tied here after a pretty crazy long Game 1, and then Cloud9 turning it on in Game 2.
Yeah, and a lot of that Game 2 is focused around Jensen. He actually tied a record for most kills in a single playoff game with 14. Cop has the other games where he was able to get 14 kills, but that just speaks to the amount of focus and the amount of dominance that came through the mid lane in that last match.
Yeah, that Meteos triple kill at the end of the game. Could have been a record, but still. Jensen, he's actually been getting more and more attention from enemy junglers, but this hasn't been the case here. They've actually been kind of playing to him from Cloud9's side, and they just don't seem to have as much pressure on Envy. They're a little late to the draw. They got the bottom turret first, and they still weren't able to actually go towards Jensen's lane and push him out. Ninja was already just so far behind at that point.
Yeah, also, I do feel like Seraph had a really poor game there. His gangplank was already picking freely into a bad matchup, but he just didn't do enough to survive. He got camped a little bit. That was a little bit out of his control, but then just got killed over and over again. Like, there really wasn't much he could have done afterwards. It just really hurt them that he was not a factor at all.
You got to think of what other variables you get to work with when you don't have to go back to a lane anymore as a jungler or as a team. You're free to do whatever you want.
Yeah, that guy pretty much gets to do whatever he wants there. And that's what I love seeing from Meteos is he knew how much he had to give to that lane and then stop giving to that lane so it can go ahead and dominate by itself, and he's needed elsewhere. Some people will actually continue to camp that lane to snowball it more, and the other side of your map might have attention from the enemy jungler. But he played it perfectly, and I think that, thinking back to this matchup, Impact versus Seraph, Seraph called Impact his final boss. He had always looked up to him back when he was in Korea, and he's really been an idol for him, but getting smashed like that.
Yeah, you get 3 tries.
You don't have too many lives left. It isn't like you get to continue on life 0. It doesn't work like that in this game. So continuing with the series, Cloud9 recovered well from their Game 1 losses we saw, and Sneaky shares what this playoff run means to him.
There's definitely a lot more emotional investment this time around. Last year, I missed out on it, summer playoffs at all, which was pretty sad. I mean, basically just had to rely on the gauntlet to even get a chance in Worlds. So I haven't experienced a summer playoffs in a pretty decent amount of time. It was, the last time I did was 2014, actually, for Season 4. So it's going to be a good time. We've been preparing really hard. We've been doing a lot of stuff to help us get in the right mindset and make sure we're all ready to win.
Make sure they're all ready to do it Hylas this time. Cannot have that guy back in.
Yeah, can't pull him in. No ways on the roster. And to Sneaky's point right there, it is a lot about the mindset. It's making sure that you don't tilt after the first game. It's having confidence in yourself and your teammates. And they were able to show that resiliency in the last match.
We've seen that come into play just on a one-off. That was the confidence we saw kind of CLG working with at MSI. So you can see what that confidence can do. Will it show up again in this game for either team? We'll have to find out here as we get into Game 3. If the picks and bans don't switch too much, we're going to get another good battle.
So far, the same bans for Cloud9, and there's the change-up. Drop the top bench, which used to be a Cassiopeia.
And the Ashe is still alive. Is that live?
Cloud9 has their priorities set pretty straight right here. Ban the Syndra, they simply just pick what was the last ban by Envy in Game 2.
Yeah.
And we get another Tahm Kench game.
Yeah, I think you picked that Ashe away as well. But Ashe into Tahm Kench, he negates the arrow a lot during the laning phase and also later in the game.
Yeah, I think that's why they're so free to pick the Tahm Kench first, at least in their mind, is because if they do give Ashe over, they aren't really that scared of it.
Yeah, and if they ban Tahm Kench, you first pick Ashe.
Because then there's not the same thing to stop it. It's a nice back and forth, and because the Taliyah and the Shen bans are so set in stone for Envy right now, they do not have the flexibility.
Kennen looked really good for Seraph in that top lane. They will choose for the AD carry, and Proxim's jungler getting Meteos off of that Rek'Sai. One small thing to that is the blue is always given to Jensen in the early game, so that is one thing that changes with many others.
Exactly. They've been giving Jensen that blue buff, but also they've been picking the Gragas away from Meteos. It's been his best champion so far this split, going back to it, and honestly, it's going to leave it open for him, and that is just worlds of possibility for Cloud9 to play their style.
Yeah, a lot of early gank possibilities for Meteos if he goes Gragas. He doesn't have to go it here, but he can if they want to keep their options open. They lock in Gnar and the jungler, so really similar drafts by C9 in all 3 of their first games.
Why change it? Why not? You're getting information each time, a better read on the player, and there's almost no chance for the swap, right? We've seen a few attempt it, but you're going to get that matchup again with a better read each time. So if you go in with the same, you're going to have the upper hand. Apparently, this is what they're looking at. The Gnar's comfort, like you said, that Gragas back in the hands of Meteos is the Kennen pick back up. Would love to see that back in the hands of Seraph. It seems like he can impact the game a lot more with a champion like that.
I think it should be because of how poorly the lane went the last time against the Gnar, and also because Kennen can have a very strong teamfight presence.
Okay. The Thresh as well. Got to remember, Hakuo is a Thresh player. We've seen that in the past. More tended towards the tanks of the Poppy, the Trundle, the Braum.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been on that Thresh before.
Being a big bruiser for his team.
Right.
This allows a little bit of safety, allows some pick potential with the Ashe and the Thresh. They took away the bottom lane from Cloud9 last game, but still, you land a hook on someone, Tahm Kench can eat that person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to just actually stop that engage with the TK.
I am quite surprised they go with Thresh. Maybe they think it's stronger against the Tahm Kench lane than the Braum would be. To me, the Braum had been very successful throughout. The Cassiopeia, which was banned in the first game, locked in, and the Jhin, because of the 280 carries already being taken. It actually feels like C9 is just drafting off of a tier list right now.
And you knew Sneaky would go back to Jhin. The Cassiopeia was left up last game, but the Syndra was just the easier play. Now banned this game. Whoa, Jace getting locked in.
We talked about how they have some pretty crazy picks for Envy.
Awesome.
And they're pulling out all the stops in playoffs right now.
This spreads their damage a little bit as well. One of the potential flaws if they were to have gone with Lissandra Kennen again is they wouldn't have a big AoE 80 carry like Sivir to be able to take them into the late game. So they go with the poke champion like Jace, who has strong scaling physical damage, and now they have their damage spread that they so desire.
And he also has a acceleration gate for the Kennen to go through and get in there a little bit faster.
That's exactly why I'm smiling ear to ear. So cool the way they're tucking these things into their composition if they miss out on it before. And they do go back to that Kennen in the top lane. They've stolen away a few champions from Cloud9 to use them in their own battle here as we get onto the Rift. And it's 1-1 so far. So this game as well can be a bit of a test with that champion. With like a Jace, you see if that works. It is. You go to the next game with it as we reach into game 4. Because like you said, Jat, now we're into that best of 3. It starts all over just like the regular season games. And remember to update your votes over on Twitter for this series. Use hashtag C9win and use hashtag EnvyWin. I'm sure both have been getting quite a few votes and may have swung towards the Cloud9 side after that last pretty momentous win here. Not putting anything by Envy. They knew they were the underdogs coming in. They've put up a very good fight, and it is always, I guess, in any given Saturday, if you will, here as we enter into the match.
Any given 3-6 match in the playoffs, it almost seems like
right?
the 6 seed wins more than the 3 seed. So really, anything can happen. You also look at players like Seraph, who really want to make it far in the playoffs for the first time. You look at someone like Laud, who wants to be able to continue to play in his first full split in the LCS. But then we even talk about Sneaky or Jensen, who we just heard from, haven't gone far in the summer playoffs because they didn't even get to participate in the last split, or last year rather, in 2015. And they want to make a run for Worlds. It has to start here.
And then even go with Meteos, right? He's been away from pro play for a bit now, so he also hasn't participated in the playoffs.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
And I mean, it's kind of like riding a bike, Riv. You get back in that saddle.
It's interestingly enough, it almost is for these guys, because even with swaps to the team, different people coming in, they still have that mechanical prowess to reach a level of playoff, to reach a level of world potential. So in a way, it's always an advantage over a team that hasn't. And that's why we see Cloud9 so strong in these playoff instances.
And Cloud9 with the Cassiopeia pick and trying to actually funnel a little bit more into Jensen this game, I would assume. No cleanse for him. So he actually was hovering cleanse before, swaps to the Ghost to just have a way to actually get his DPS out and avoid the Kennen a little bit better. But that makes him susceptible to these Ashe arrows.
It does. especially in the laning phase. I think once he escapes the laning phase, the fact that he has the Tahm Kench gets him away from having cleanse. And it definitely feels like a trade-off of between the basically 8 and 20-minute mark, he's going to be vulnerable. But in all other phases of the game, the Ghost will be better for him.
I definitely agree there. And looking at these masteries, the Jace with the Thunderlord looks like it's just a combo Jace there. Some Jaces will go Fervor because they hypercharge. Get 3 really fast shots off. But instead, goes with the Thunderlord, trying to look for burst. If you kill that Cassiopeia really quickly and he has an exhaust on top of it to boot, he can go for some all-ins.
That makes it very nice. You get an upper hand in the lane very, very quickly if you can get that advantage. Just keep pounding out with that hammer. Very even in trades here at the bottom. We always see Hakuo in here in these last two games, I should say, going at it, popping those biscuits, and then holding on. Coin start for Hakuo here, actually on the side of Thresh as well. So that they're actually getting maybe Talisman of
level
Ascension
2
speed later as well. Vlad was focusing on minions with his last few attacks. Rangers down as well. Eating up on Hakuo. They go for the attack, and it's going to be the takedown. Sneaky with the last bullet as well. And they may not be able to get another lick here to make it count. That's going to be the shot. A double kill for Sneaky.
You can't disrespect the Tahm Kench damage early in the CC from having a stun and something that takes you off the map. Complete disrespect.
You also can't disrespect Sneaky's Jhin. He was the first one to master the champion. It's not his most played, but he knows exactly what he is doing. Smoothie is level 1, but he's a minion away from level 2. And Sneaky has the 4th shot. He pops it to get a bunch of damage. That's the thing about Tahm Kench's melee support. If you get into an extended duel, he will destroy you
and
because of the beast. And then he still has flash. So he gets the stun with another tongue lash and then allows Sneaky the time to pick up the double kill as well. Beautifully done by C9's duo lane.
Absolutely crazy. And you're talking about those extended fights as well for Smoothie and the Tahm Kench. The guy brought Grasp. So the longer those trades are going, the more deceptive that actually is because he's getting HP back and this support is actually brutalizing you.
Also talked a little bit about last game, kind of leaving a lane alone. And I don't think they're really going to have to go down there and help Sneaky and Smoothie. Meteos can really have a field day with mid and top side here. Make sure these standard lanes go in their favor.
Summoner spell.
Yeah.
He's going to be here anyways. They want to make this worse. The horse is down. They look to kick it. Elad, the body slam into the dark passage. Godlike.
Flight. He'd actually clicked the lantern, and he caught him during that incredibly fast movement speed. And this is also going to be a massive challenge for Envy as a team. They talked mid-season about having issues between the synergy of the 3 Korean players and the duo lane. When your duo lane then starts 0-3, that comes roaring back.
And look at this one more time
my
here.
God.
Tongue lash for the slow. Jhin W takes it. Boom, boom. Really well played there.
It was perfect.
It's a
You
great
start
timing,
the
too.
body slam, and then you flash exactly on the moment. You only have the speed of Lantern. It was crazy.
Meteos, such good timing on that. And timing on the gank as well. Lot had just got back to lane, and the wave was pushing away from him. So Sneaky was able to freeze it, double the CS of Lot at the moment, 2 levels up, now just 1, but oh my god, this is awful for Lot and Hakuo, and Envy are just gonna have to play from a deficit here. Here goes Prox from behind though.
Nice.
Attack gets
up.
his flash, a few more attacks. He misses the Thundering Shuriken. The red buff ticks. He gets the surge out. He should be all right. Lightning Rush, rather. He should be all right. What a save for Impact as well. To let nothing happen there means Envy is really trying. The resources are going to waste, though.
That's actually a gank that Impact has absorbed in every single game. It's starting to become a little bit predictable. The Proxen will route up there about 5.5 minutes in. But Impact, even without wards and even without respecting it, has been able to get away with his life every single time.
That was almost mirrored to the last game. Body slam in, would have Rek'Sai tunnel, but a flash out. He knows what he's doing. Rinse and repeat for the top lane here. And he can still stay to get some CS.
And
he teleports back.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, Lot's gone cult.
Yeah.
Like, if you were even hoping to be able to kind of compete, you would have gone with either a second Doran's or like boots to dodge some skill shots. The call here makes him so susceptible. I'm actually expecting a turret dive when Meteos hits level 6 to just brute force down on the bottom side.
Which will actually be pretty soon.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Be in about the next minute here. There isn't a camp for him to clear on his way down here, but it looks like he may even have it just in mind ahead of time.
Yeah, Proxen's kind of on it, though. He's already passed to that side of the jungle to provide a little bit of safety. And he's gone with the smite. Now he's 6.
6? Oh, God.
Look out. Wolf Spirit is tracking him around. Wolf Spirit then into checking him out with the Hawk Shot.
Yeah, what would actually dissuade the dive that I was just calling for is the fact that there's a teleport discrepancy in the top lane. The fact that Seraph could teleport in with the Cannon Ultimate makes it less likely and much more dangerous, but here
that
it
may
is.
not matter, chat. Apparently. He has the Raptor buff, so they're alerting right now to Seraph. Things may happen in the bot lane. Keep an eye if a teleport call is necessary. And with that vision of bot side Meteos,
This is so nice by Impact.
outside Proxen.
It's so nice by Impact. Impact just walks down here. He's like, I got nothing really to do in lane. It'll slow push towards me in a bit. And he checks out the blue because Meteos showed himself bottom side.
Do they work on the flash down though? He sees the sensor of Impact. I think he might have actually gotten a glimpse of him. If he made it around the elbow of that wall, it's going to be a
Oh, he's
gank
gonna
here.
have to dive
Flash
him.
down, but now he's 6.
this is
Got a
tough.
lot of Narbar to work through. It's going to be slicing Maelstrom, so Seraph takes it first. He's got to get out
the
before
turret.
the turret hits him. He was the one to take aggro, and Impact pulls the 1-for-1 in a 2v1.
And this also tells C9 that no jungler is in the bottom side. See you later, turret.
Yep, first blood on that turret will go down, and they might give it to Sneaky again, solo. And that's just a huge advantage here. Sneaky already up 1,900 gold.
4,000 gold on Sneaky.
God.
2,100 gold on the opponent 80 carry. The lane no longer exists.
Basically, the lead is Sneaky's bankroll right now, as you're seeing in that gold.
Oh, Lord.
And that Cull is just, it's going to be so long before that actually pays off. It's pretty much going to be Cull and Caulfield's Warhammer to a Yomu's Ghostblade.
Yeah, track on when he actually is able to finish that. Cloud9 here with their momentum and helping out their stat of being one of the teams with the least dragons in the early portion of the game here. Buffing that up a bit as we check out the dive one more time.
Yeah, Impact trying to absorb ganks. Seraph unfortunately took turret aggro. They would have probably liked for Proxen to do that since he is doing less damage.
Right.
But then Impact focuses what the turret has already acquired, and with his dying breath gets one more auto attack off, which was able to finish off Seraph.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that Seraph didn't use his Lightning Rush a little bit sooner, because the Kennen combo, you can get a double stun and then set up a triple stun right afterwards, because you saw Impact jumped off of his head. If he had Lightning Rush enabled, Impact would have landed and been stunned again.
Right. Mid lane pretty equal, giving the chance here for Jensen to walk down. Who's going to be the one in the belly? And that's going to be Jensen. As they walk away, they got to face him so he can ult if he even needs to. I don't think they're going to need to. He gets off Miasma, should be good. The end of Deadly Flourish catches Lod, and he goes down as well.
It's going from bad to worse. They have to realize they don't have a turret, and they're up against Tom Kent. So that play is always a possibility. One of the big reasons C9 is even first picking that Tom Kent, from the lane dominance against some of the other supports if it's played poorly, to the ability to punish the map afterwards. All the things clicking for C9 this game.
And they've been doing such a great job of punishing this. And this is that Ashe that, well, Jensen didn't take cleanse. Well, laning phase might be a problem if the Ashe is able to roll. Well, he's completely out of the lane and almost out of the game at this point. He has to play catch up for a very long time. And I mean, they did this to Seraph last game. Now, it's that bottom lane. They're getting two people out and...
Gotta say it, especially this matchup right now, 6 kills to 1.
It's kind of the probability right now.
A lot of love for this guy in the top lane. Proxen is going to be one to tank it. Slicing Maelstrom goes down, but they're going to be forced out. He can easily chase this. Oh! The charge blast coming in from Ninja. Very nicely done. A shock blast to the chin onto Impact, and he does not get a double kill for himself.
You almost forget there's a Jace in the game, and then out of nowhere, ends up getting that kill.
This game has been so focused around the bottom lane fiesta that it has been for Cloud9, Sneaky and Smoothie, getting so many kills and assists that, yes, we have forgotten about it. But the thing with that is when Impact is getting camped on the other side, he's actually just trading kills. So it's a net neutral trade in the top lane versus this massively positive thing in the other side. And Impact gets Seraph's TP out.
He doesn't know it either.
Yeah, he doesn't realize he's gone. He's gonna
funny because you recall what they were saying on the desk as you play this Syndra, you gank this Syndra, and she comes out 1-1 because she's so powerful. Well, you're getting that in the top lane from a Gnar, and it makes things even harder when you can't close out the kill clean.
Yeah, Seraph didn't get the immediate stun.
Oh,
and then
man.
Flashes in a little bit later and almost transformed there for a little bit extra HP.
The play itself had developed this nice energy. We're thinking Impact's going to get mega and pull off this double kill, and then Ninja just shuts it down. Easy shot blast.
Snuff that fuse out. All right, not too much damage output on that attack. The wallop comes through. Nice dodge by Jensen. The activation of level 6 already trying to happen from Envy. With the arrow down, Meteos feeling pretty aggressive.
Yeah, didn't actually go for the explosive cast backwards either.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of nice to Hakuo there.
Hakuo was still at Flash and Exhaust, but it could have been a chance to at least force the Flash
Yeah,
out.
he was also on grounded from the Cassiopeia.
So he couldn't get away.
It's a possibility. He may have been able to edge himself off of it, and Meteos was conscious of that.
Belt finished up for Seraph. He's had a much better game for himself so far. There has obviously been the failed ganks, but he could still provide for the team. As long as Cloud9 acts a little slower, they're able to take mid. Seraph's going to be pulled out of this top lane just to help mid. He's doing better, but he's not getting time to himself.
This is looking more like a 6th versus 3rd seed matchup that you were expecting coming into today, because Cloud9 were just looking better at the end of the split. And look at this. Almost gets a catch there, but
It has been very clean CC chaining, and C9 is showing a lot of teamwork. What's interesting is it's almost like a 4-man teamwork squad, and then Impact, who's doing quite well in his own right. But C9 going to continue to try and push up this mid lane. Ninja's pushed off. They don't have the wave clear.
yeah.
Look at the distance and just kind of things they can place to create a barrier for themselves. Continue to just do everything from the outside range of what Envy has, even with the Jace.
Yeah, and as that 4-man squad ends up getting a turret for themselves, the 1-man Impact against the world is going to pick up the turret in the top side. He's been doing a fantastic job. He has killed so many structures in this series, and he's just been a sponge for the pressure. You put pressure on him, it's just not really sticking.
This is a massive lead for C9, but Envy's trying to get something back with an Ash Arrow.
Smoothie can eat that. He's got the shield, and nobody really wants to follow up. You have Sneaky on the back to keep delivering damage. Ninja can speed up the team here.
He's trying to get some
with an
poke
acceleration gate if you can get it in the right spot.
He's just trying to get
sure
some
the
poke
vision
down.
goes out.
And Impact is actually pushing the 2nd-tier turret, so if Envy doesn't get this, or even if they lose the fight, it would be beyond disaster.
They're just trying to stall now, too. Jensen is just stopping the backs for a bit, chasing him down with his ghost.
Oh, man.
Make sure they can't back in safe areas. That's just going to be a lot of damage there, too.
It seems like Envy is very susceptible to falling into the runaround. Not allowing, or not understanding that they're allowing something on the other side of the map, thinking the kill is the priority. And here they may actually lose quite a bit, or already have map pressure against Cloud9 because they're chasing kills.
Yeah, and this is by far the most lopsided game of the series so far. We're
6-8.
already at that goal difference, less than 15 minutes into the game. We do know that Seraph as Kennen, he'd be good against a Jhin. That would be great if he's fed. But Sneaky's going to be going Duskblade and probably killing 2 people with his ultimate at the same time. Like, he's going to be so far ahead of the world right here. He doesn't have the Duskblade completed yet. Just a few shots land on a Ninja, and they push him out of the mid lane yet again.
That build really kicks in when you pick up another serrated Dirk and get on your way towards that Duskblade. And then once you complete it, you get another Dirk. And then that third one, that's when it's really, it just feels so good to be that Jhin. And then the build picks up once again when you get Infinity Edge last item. But I don't think it's even going to get to that point because he's just absolutely crushing this game. That early double kill in the lane, I mean, 6.15, you got to face that lane.
Yeah.
Ends up costing them as well. Envy looking for an arrow.
Quick fingers Impact. Didn't even have too much vision there. Their team was just saying, you might have a group of people on your butt. Someone to watch out. And that was a point I was going to make earlier as well, as you just mentioned, is if that had happened earlier, Lod and Hakuo would have went top, right? They would have tried to farm out the 2v1, been like, we can't take a 2-0 lane now, but not an option here. And you actually figured out on the spot what to do because you have to match up again.
We say it's not an option, but it probably should have been what they did. Because you think about, they gave up first turret anyways, and they actually fed a bunch more kills. And they also didn't shut down Impact in any meaningful way. So, like, it's always tricky whenever you have a disaster 2-0 like that, and there are ways you can mitigate that disaster. I credit Cloud9 for focusing that lane so well, and I also criticize Envy for not helping in any way.
Yeah.
Proxen was on the other side of the map instead of trying to counter the dives that C9 was clearly going to do.
They're going
Let's
after
see.
Impact again.
So what you're saying is there's always an option. It seems like they're trying to stress that right now.
Sarah said he was the final boss, but this is a decoy boss. You should be focusing on the rest of the game. And they're not even beating the decoy boss.
It's about the final bosses at this point. They're in the bottom lane, and it's going to be a second tier and inhibitor now, possibly traded in. At least half of the damage on that inhibitor. 8-second back in that top side for Envy.
Oh, force
and
the
they don't
TP.
have home guards to run up to that turret either. You can already see below half health.
Yeah, force the TP out of Seraph, and that middle turret doesn't go down just yet either.
Wow.
No Frozen Mallet yet.
The missile
Mega.
voyage. Here comes the rest of the team. Bops him back, says alley-oop. You can have this one.
And then he gets the kill anyway.
Yeah,
The
right?
best type of alley-oop. Off the backboard.
Throws it up. Was that a three-pointer alley-oop? I think so.
Yeah.
18 minutes.
We gotta clean up our analogies. We're way off base.
I mean, you can just jump really, really well.
Yeah.
17 and a half. The lead growing. Like you said, Jat, this much different from any other game in the series here as Cloud9 has had a lead from the get-go and continue to build that lead.
Missed that first shock blast, and that became crucial. He still decides to go in anyway. And then Impact, the Gnar, gets to jump away. This matchup actually happens a decent amount in the top lane. And Impact, ooh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, it knocked him all over the place. And I think that was just an act of desperation from Ninja, hoping to get some type of kill back.
Yeah.
They know they're down 8,000 gold, and he knew he'd missed the shot blast, but he figured he had exhaust, he could take the duel. He was just wrong.
Yeah. And talk about desperation. That's what I've been seeing a lot of from Envy in this series. When they get behind, we're seeing those moves where they overextend. They're chasing Impact down for so long. They're devoting too many people to one thing, and then they lose more on the opposite side of the map, and it's clouding a bit of their decision-making and how quickly they can make them, where they're like, we have to get something, instead of thinking about what they give up when they get it.
Always think that the next moment is the right one. We've got the catch. This is the catch. And you realize Cloud9 is still one step ahead of you.
Yeah, and for a rookie squad, that's not completely uncharacteristic.
Right.
Whereas Cloud9, on the other hand, you know, they've been adjusting to having new shot callers and having a new game plan, and overall, they've been adapting fairly well.
Yep.
And you can see they still go for things like Baron baits, like setting up picks.
And for C9, a lot of it is about growth, because while a lot of these players are heavily experienced, they're kind of put together in this iteration for the first time. Meteos and Jensen have slowly been developing their synergy. Reaper, it's his first split as a coach.
Yeah.
Looks like we actually had a Kennen ultimate burn. That's why we saw the Tom Kench ultimate coming through, as for protection. But Rift Herald goes over Impact in the nick of time.
You're talking about that growth. There was a lot of consideration in it at the beginning of the season with swapping Smoothie and Bunny and trying to figure out what was that best growth.
So much
So there's been a lot of deep dive by Cloud9 to figure that out in many areas. A nice
Going
clear
for
up.
minions.
Yep. Getting a few extra bucks in there as he saves the turret as well. They've only got the top turret dropped here and really didn't go for the inhibitor because they just would have been feeding Envy minions. So working the map, playing it very slow. As long as Smoothies with Sneaky for now, they will be safe. Minute and a half on a Dragon, so we'll be setting up some vision here and getting set for that. Envy, they have the comp that they haven't been able to hit any arrows on yet.
Yeah. So not only did they lose lane terribly, the utility from the pick is also faltered. But even if they hit the arrows, like the arrows become harder to hit when you don't have vision control, and the other team always has vision of you. So they can see Lod sneaking into the brush a lot of the time before he'd fire the arrow, so it gives them a heads up to be thinking about dodging.
And then they also have Smoothie on Tom Kench. Another thing they have to consider when they're throwing out that arrow, who's it hitting, and is Tom Kench near that guy? Because otherwise, it just becomes a useless tool or just a mild nuisance.
Seems like the first time here Cloud9 hasn't actually quickly double sight zoned up. Get themselves more vision.
This is Envy actually trying to set up, but Cloud9 are going to call this bluff. They're going to go straight for the mid lane.
I mean, this team is actually pretty slow at Baron, so C9 was in mid lane. They could open up with the Jhin ultimate and think about stopping this one. You'd think. No, right, the Jhin ultimate's on cooldown, but they can still find the fight. Envy's on the wrong side of the map.
Oh, these arrows. Nobody could have really followed up on that arrow either. So many members like Smoothie, Meteos, the big tanks on the front line ready to stop. Seraph's low on energy. You got to be careful about any initiations with that.
Meteos is very close to
they're
Lod.
backing off.
That's body slam flash range.
The runaround.
Hakuo, that's a loss of aggression. You throw the hook out, they know it's not there anymore. That means they can fight. It's the small things that mean we can initiate, and the hook going out triggered that for Cloud9. The dynamite explodes, and so does Envy. Proxen left running for the hills as he heads to the other side of the map.
And Cloud9 looking dominant here. They're going to try to get this last kill.
They don't want any 50-50 for the follow Baron, so they get him out, or at least know where he is once they start that off. They're going to go ring around the rosy.
Run, Proxen, run.
Oh, Deadly Flourish, it did. Lock him, war off, and he's good to go.
So Meteos, he flashes.
Oh, he got the pop-up. Is there going to be another one? Don't drink it, you got to throw it. Ah, drinking it's still good.
As long as he's keeping tabs on Proxen and he can't steal it, it's still worth it. No smite available at that point. And Baron on every member of Cloud9 after that ace.
Yeah, this game is a massacre. By C9. Like, it is not even close from the start to especially this point. Envy is desperate. They're not making the smart decision on how to stall out the game, and C9 is punishing them in every single way. Envy has their back to C9's base, which is not what they want right here. And then they spread out as they're running through. They have the Jace Gate. They could have probably found a way to run away in a speedy fashion. And then Lod, he starts hitting the Grob. Like, what is that for? Hakuho then gets caught. Lod is in a bad position. Like, nothing is actually working for them, whereas C9 is completely in the right state of mind, eating gin as he's about to get flanked.
He just wanted a friend as he, passed away.
Yeah. Maybe I can kill something.
Don't want
too much help.
I don't want to go alone. And speaking of not going alone, Tom Kench ends up going through, and Smoothie brings along a friend, and they eventually get Proxen. But so far, like, even just looking at the build now, Sneaky, he's going Infinity Edge, third item in the Jhin build where you typically build a magic resistance item, but Seraph is just not far enough ahead to be like warranting buying a Maw, and instead of getting that third penetration item, he goes for that crit enhancement item and looking for those gigantic crits to get Lot off the map.
And I think it's also because he has so much faith in Smoothie's Tom Kench. He doesn't necessarily need the magic resist. If even in that last fight he gets jumped on by a point-blank range Jace, and it's fine.
Where did that faith come from? Like we said, we haven't seen Tom Kench on this team. These guys have really been working these end scrims in secret and making sure the compositions synergize perfectly with how Cloud9 wants to play. Nexus turrets are in the eyes of Cloud9 here. As they enter the base, the fight's going to happen first. And as the way they are playing it, very methodical, it might just mean these two inhibitors and a quick step out.
It's just such a devastating game from Cloud9. Envy, talk about mental fortitude the last two games. This is one you have to bounce back from, because right now, Cloud9 just look like they're going to try to end the game.
Yeah. And where does that mental fortitude must be tarnished after this game? You tried to take away the Ashe. You tried to take away or ban other things out, and that's not even what the real success was to another composition that they used.
Yeah, depending on the team, it can be difficult to even bounce back from small mistakes, or even a loss where you had a lot of things go right. It's even harder to bounce back from a game where everything goes wrong.
Right.
It all did start with the bottom lane, and it's also been a previous weak point for this team to just kind of unravel. They have to be so careful going into the next game. C9 trying to end.
Last inhibitors getting taken down. This one should fall. Sneaky has good eye on it, or good eyes on it, I should say, as he's back and forth. But they will take a kill if they can lock it down. The flash forward, all from Jensen. There's one, there's two. Ninja now in the eyes of Meteos. It looks like he is going to get slowed, but not taken down as all of Envy heads for the fountain. Now onto the Nexus turrets, and Cloud9 come back even stronger in Game 3 for 2 consecutive wins as they put themselves in a game point position here in the quarterfinals against Envy. This game's going to be 25 minutes on the clock, 16-2. Cloud9 bring it to game point versus Envy.
And Cloud9, most dominant game of the series so far, 25.5 minutes, an absolute slaughter.
Yeah, that was really well done by Cloud9 across the board. Obviously, Sneaky and Smoothie are the ones that got it started, but then the rest of the team was playing solid as well. Impact absorbed so many ganks and was picking up kills on the back end in 1v2s, and that allowed the 4 other members of the team who were already winning substantially to just crush the game.
Yeah, and you could see Envy, they seemed like they were getting a little bit frustrated. The ganks weren't sticking. That bottom lane is already far behind. And in mental resilience, you cannot blame somebody on your team for that previous game. You can't go this bottom lane, man. You have to play with them, and you have to get this back on the same page. Maybe they throw more ganks down there. Maybe they end up having them play a little bit safer, because that was a 2-on-2. That was even before the junglers really had an effect on the lanes.
Yeah, and we're seeing patterns develop throughout the 3 games. We're seeing that Proxen favors the top lane very heavily with his ganks. We're also seeing that Meteos has been pretty critical about getting that dual lane the first turret. That's something Sneaky's been able to pick up in 2 of those games. And we've had blue side, red side for C9 and Envy respectively in all 3 games. All of that needs to change if Envy wants a chance in this series.
Even a few things in the early, you said one of them that's huge for me is they have to make those ganks work on impact. They try so much, but if you lose that and bottom, you're so far down the hill when the game starts, then there's almost really no chance. We've said enough. We have to see what the analysts say. We'll check back with Dash and the analysts to break this one down.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Jats calling for some change on the side of Team Envy after another loss here. 2-1 now in favor of Cloud9. Next one will be game point for them. Specifically, though, looking at this, the adaptations that came in, we saw that Tahm Kench pick back up for Cloud9. So a lot of comfortability and a lot of priority on that champion, even though they had, for example, pinched that ADC pool, handing over the Ashe.
I mean, it was okay. I think the draft from Envy was mostly fine. I like going for the Ashe after they banned the Sivir and then the Tahm Kench's first pick. I think that's fine. The Thresh into the Tahm Kench is good as well as a range matchup, but the way they played it obviously wasn't quite right, and that's ultimately the story of this game. We can get into the Kennen counter pick as well. It's seen various degrees of success.
I mean, Thresh, maybe a decent pickup, but definitely not the ideal support matchup against the Tahm Kench.
See, I'm going to have this theory right here where you're picking all these carries in the side lanes or in the solo lanes for Envy. You have the Lissandra, the Jace, the Kennen, lots of carries in the top lane, and that forces the support pool to kind of take a more CC-oriented role. So you have the likes of the Thresh and the Braum that they've been going for in the first 3 games.
Right.
And the problem with that is that when you pick Braum and Thresh and pretty much all these melee, while Thresh isn't technically a melee, you lose against Tahm Kench, period. You cannot, that is nearly impossible of a matchup to win. They have to mess up monumentally.
Yep.
And especially you do not all in when you have coin.
Yes, that was about to say, okay, if you didn't say it, I was going to say a coin picked up for Thresh. We've got
fine, but you just don't all in.
Right, especially against a Relic Shield Tahm Kench, which is just that he's got more combat stats from you than you there at level 2. Let's take a look at this first blood. or rather double kill in the bot lane. It's the only replay we have, and the reason being is that this essentially did spell the end of the game for Envy.
Well, they go in because they have the 2 advantage, but Sneaky gets the last hit on the creep to start it, and then this is actually just really well played. While he's reloading, he walks into the brush while they have Hakuho in Smoothie's mouth, so it was just really well timed where neither of them were damaging at the same time, but they walked out.
And this fantastical tongue lash right on the creeps.
Oh yeah, making sure he didn't.
Nice and sticks to it.
Well, now Sneaky gets 2 kills, doesn't have to blow his flash. All 4 summoners were blown on the other side of that 2v2 lane, and so this essentially puts Envy in a situation where they have choices they can make. Either we start throwing more resources to the bot lane in order to try and turn what just happened around, right, and get them back into the game, or we have to throw all of our focus and resources on the opposite side of the map in hopes of winning it hard enough on that side that they can cover for the losses on the other side.
And they're pretty much all bad choices.
Right, because if you go bottom, that man in your screen, Meteos, is going to come down and counter you. We saw them go down and get a return kill almost instantly where he gets that nice flash body slam onto the lantern. If the Rek'Sai's there, it really doesn't change it. You might save him, but then you're just blowing time and resources protecting people who are still going to lose the lane. It was just, you can't afford in a playoff series against a good team to lose a lane that hard. Once you get double killed level 2 and he comes back with the serrated Dirk to your nothing, it's
we want to hear what the alternate stream's saying about the top lane when you see in the screen double kill bot lane.
Dyrus is like, this is where you as a top laner. He's just like,
speaking of the top lane matchup though, the reason why the Kennen into the Gnar isn't as great as we would have liked, say, other matchups like Fiora or maybe Aurelia is that when you try to put so much attention into one lane, you want to get it to a point where you just leave it alone and they can constantly take advantages by themselves.
Right.
By either tower diving, pressuring them off the recall, whatever. Kennen can't do that.
Kennen's great in the 2v1 with the jungler assistance.
Kennen is particularly great at diving bottom with a TP advantage. Envy has not used a TP advantage once in this game, and you saw how hard it is to kill impact. He's playing great.
So yeah, that's what's kind of weird is it's okay if you're like, okay, they pick Gnar, we're gonna take Kennen. It has a good matchup, it'll have pressure, and then it'll scale really well into the late game. And Seraph's obviously pretty proficient at Kennen, but the thing is, it's not just that like they go up there once. Even in game 1, when their bot lane was doing fine, they didn't look to go bottom with the TP advantage they got. They kept going top, and so if you're gonna have the game plan of constantly throwing ganks top, why not pick a harder snowballing matchup?
Well, very much so. And then on top of that, the execution just needs to be cleaner. We saw traded kills back, for impact almost every time they dove him. So yes, you're picking up the kill and you're getting the assist advantage, but even so, money is going into Impact's pocket. He itemized correctly as well, this time going for much more defensive initial items to protect against those turret dives, as opposed to his Gnar game in game 1, where he went straight for that frozen mount. So smart itemization from him, an adjustment based on what Envy was doing, and a very tragic double kill coming through very early in the game, which honestly from there, as we mentioned, was just kind of the end of it. So now let's ignore the latter 2/3 of that game, right? Let's brush those off and let's move on to game 4. What will be game point or match point for C9 for Envy? They've got to win 2 in a row. Envy has opted to go for blue side. So for the first time in this series, we will be swapping sides. With that in mind, what's our approach here to champion select?
Well,
You got something? Because
I got a lot.
You got a lot. You go then.
I actually would have liked to see Envy take the purple side again.
Okay.
But this is why, because I want them to clinch away the Gnar. I don't think Gnar right now is worth that first pick. You don't want to really give away so many things, but you can stay on the purple side, let them have the Tam Kench or whatever you feel like, and then you go, bam, you get the Gnar, you get the Cassiopeia if you like, and immediately you take the soul lanes, and you make sure that you have soul lanes that can deal with pretty much anything that you want. Right now on the blue side, I can't help but think that maybe they're trying to get the Tam Kench themselves, grab the Ashe, things that don't really seem to be for Envy style.
Right, I think that's what I was going to say is I'm not exactly sure what they have planned on blue side. We've only seen them red side.
Right.
And we know that their strategy seems to be like get some counter picks mid, safe bot lane, and like just chill, and then make some plays around the top side. That seemed to be their plan going to blue side. I don't know what they're planning, but if they're going to just take a Tam Kench away, that doesn't feel drastic enough to change how this
No,
is
not
going.
at all. I mean, in my head, without diving into this too much, my first thought for an advantage of moving to blue side is simply for the sake of changing sides. Right, is simply for forcing Cloud9 onto the red and say, now you have to ban from red side. Now you have to pick from red side, which will inevitably change the outcome.
Maybe they're hoping that Cloud9 only had blue side strats prepared.
I don't think that's the case. I mean, the thing is,
it's a reference, man.
I know the reference. It's season 2. Yeah, whatever. I think Vlad, Karma, Sivir translate pretty well over to the red side bans.
Right, you're not unhappy to ban those.
The Shen might be the thing that they're looking for.
That's true.
Right?
Actually,
they've been banning it a lot. It is a drastic change of style that can impact the top lane and bottom more than any other pick right now.
All right, so hopefully the switch of sides will give us a pretty drastic change in champ select. Cloud9 are just one win away from moving on to the semifinals, being our first team there. So stay tuned to see if they can make the jump or if Team Envy will rally and take us to a Game 5. You're watching North American Quarterfinals.
Not putting anything by Envy. They knew they were the underdogs coming in to put up a very good fight. They want to make this worse. The horse is down. They look to kick it. Elad, the body slam into the dark passage. Godlike flight.
I ult for. Yo, I got flashed on. Come here. I'm eating you.
They can lock it down. The flash forward. Ult from Jensen. There's 1. There's 2. 25 minutes on the clock. 16-2. Cloud9 bring it to game point versus Envy.